it mostly resolves our case, but I do have this sort of a question generally. And again, this goes to sort of the intensity of feeling issue. Just a general sense for those of us that don't visit the Capitol or see any of this happening other than on TV. My understanding is that since September, there's been a settlement in the federal case. I was provided a copy of the settlement by the state at my request. And that there really is no ongoing enforcement action. Is that correct? Or law enforcement, no arrests or anything like that?
My understanding is that people in the Capitol have been complying with the terms of the settlement and the new rules and system in place.
Okay, and so what does that mean, complying with the new rules?
I'm not an expert on the new rules. Certainly the settlement describes them. I believe there's new emergency rules that have recently been published, but it's a system that allows both a permitting system as well as a noticing system, creates a floor for 12, and gives certain preferences based on which terms of notification you give the Department of Administration with regards to your event.
Okay. So in your view, there isn't any ongoing law breaking?
Again, I'm not familiar with the day-to-day operations, but my understanding is that there has not been many tickets or arrests issued subsequent to the settlement.
Allegations of law breaking. Now, let me ask you this, because it did occur to me thinking about these cases. Since we don't have the rule anymore that is being enforced, and since there really isn't any ongoing alleged law breaking, or much of it, there aren't many arrests or anything like that. My understanding, there are about 400 of these cases pending in Dane County Circuit Court.
I think that's somewhat accurate. I'm not sure of the exact number, but it is several hundred.
Well, I had this question. You know, the courts are open to everybody, and that certainly includes the state. The state wants to be heard, we'll hear them all anytime. But people who have the authority to direct resources in prosecution, who have the authority to decide what cases the state's going to be involved in, I think have some obligation to exercise that authority using good judgment and some consideration of what the resource costs and benefits are. I've yet to sort of get a sense in these cases, and admittedly we haven't gone very far in these cases, other than the one we tried, as to really what the state's purpose is in pursuing 400 forfeiture cases regarding events that occurred last summer under a legal system that's no longer in place, and where the arrests aren't continuing. Are you with me, Mr. Brissett?
I understand your question, yes.
So I really think it would be beneficial for your office to formally evaluate the costs and benefits of pursuing these 400 cases in Dane County Circuit Court. As to what exact, what the state's objective is, which would be the benefit, and what the costs are in real terms. Because I mentioned Michael Bess and Friedrich. I mean, if the JCRAR does appear in these cases and you don't represent them, then there's going to be another resource cost. But I think it would be desirable for your office to do a good faith analysis of what the costs and benefits of these 400 cases are under these circumstances. So that to the extent you're missing something, you don't. So that if you can make an informed decision, and then you can apprise the court of what your evaluation was. And I mean, for example, got all these defendants, they have time. They have lawyers, that's a cost. We've got a bailiff. Sometimes we'll have more than one bailiff. We've got the court staff. We've got 2 assistant attorney generals. We have witnesses. All of that are significant costs. And if we're doing it 400 times to accomplish what? Well, that's what I'd like you to be able to apprise me of. And so I am asking you, by the time we next meet, to be able to And actually what I'd say is 30 days prior to the time we next meet, if you could submit that analysis. You follow me, Mr. Brissett?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, I appreciate it. That would even apply in Mr. Gonzalez's case.